But I'm actually going to use one I did 7 years ago, and in a way it's quite apt at this point in time, given the actor in the film was one of the first people in Australia to go down with COVID-19 or coronavirus, Tom Hanks. And it goes back to a time in April 2013 when I'd run into a number of events occurring in life which had been interesting, especially when you looked at in retrospect. And indeed, over the last 7 years, I'd say there's been a lot more like that. At that time, I'd been walking with Kayla in the river park, which I do every single day, and it prompted me to think about one night in 2013 when there was nothing on the TV, so I turned over to watch the advertised program on another station, 7 2. However, that wasn't on, and I found myself watching an old favourite movie, Forrest Gump. And in many ways what I heard then when I turned over was just that word, just as he began to say, "My mum used to say, life's like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're going to get." I thought at the time, yes, it's a wonderful, simple statement, probably could only be said by somebody in the US, especially without my accent. But it really describes the actual act of living to a T. And it struck a chord which has always resonated with me about events that go on in life. We can never truly know what awaits us around the corner. Even now, none of us at the start of the year, 3 months ago, thought we'd reach in a stage where a virus would stop us meeting on a Sunday. In fact, that's just an event around us, but there are things we do of our own free will on any day that could create a totally different corner for us to face tomorrow. I think my last 7 years, but before this the last few weeks before I wrote this, been a microcosm of this and reminded me of the rather strange ways life's patterns can unfold. Not just for me, but for others. It's also a repeat of the same patterns I'd seen in the past, and I've seen them again since then. So I focused on the period and the knowledge as it corresponded with those past experiences. Back then I'd been asked to help a company that was having significant issues with their information systems and their product costings, which meant they really didn't understand their product costs or profits. It's one of my specialist areas of work, and I'm an expert at it. It was very useful for me because it was extra work and it was going to give me an income boost through until it ended in August. It also looked like I was going to get some long-term involvement until I decided it was time to retire. I did decide to retire, but I'm still working, so it's a bit strange. There's another twist in the tale, because I knew I wouldn't have enough money in the pension scheme to be able to deal with. And I'd sent out a message to Spirit, as a spiritualist, sent out a message to the universe to help fix matters. It seemed that the work I'd just got would help me, and it was the universe responding. No lotto win, but extra money earned through using my expertise to help deal with a critical problem. At the same time, that 7 years ago, Liz was preparing for and then going to deliver her week as an Australian tutor of the Stand Up for Spirit Week with UK medium Tony Stockwell in the Dandenongs. Stressful, yes, tiring, very, but ultimately beneficial to Liz and her confidence. However, this week had not been sent out for by us. There were probably many moments Liz thought about not going. If the universe was involved, it was placing a new fork in the road, a challenge which you may choose to take to see what it leads to, albeit you have to tread that route entirely trusting Spirit. Indeed, I don't really see that as the universe, but one of those quirky moments that Spirit have to place you in a position to choose. However, as Liz's week ended, another opportunity seemed to appear for help on our future finances. People know Barry Gray, and at that time he managed to get both of us to mention a Sunday Mail article called Call in the Ghostbusters, about people who use psychics to help sell or buy their houses. In the article, an interview given by Heidi about the work I did energy balancing her house resulted in numerous requests for help, urgent calls where it forced me to decide to place a value on my time and work for a higher rate than I had before. Doing houses takes a lot of time. You'll say, that's the universe at work, the force that drives the ideas behind The Secret, the impact of one of the natural laws, the law of attraction. Well, you could say that. Everything was seeming to fall into place. You could, but of course, at that time the company was the iconic South Australian family business Spring Gully Foods. I was there long enough to develop a genuine like for the family who owned it and their employees. Luckily, something nudged me to put in an invoice that had been paid, but some of my hours are likely to be unpaid. We now know they came out of administration. In fact, I did carry on working for them. So finally, after a hiatus of some months, I did end up working with them, and I'm still trying to help them stay alive. And it was, yes, maybe it was the universe that took them out of administration, because it was a miracle to get out of that. But it appeared for a time that that bonus wasn't going to happen. Equally, the additional burst from energy balancing, that all dried up and became very intermittent. In fact, now I really don't do much of it. Taught me to value my time and charge appropriately, but the income from this, from readings, really wouldn't cover the cost of being leader of the mission. There are many issues that occur to me from these events, but as I said, it's a microcosm of my life experience. Often beneficial openings seem to appear, which you get happily drawn in, to find them just as suddenly disappearing, and that's gone on since then. It went on before then and gone on since then. I'm certainly not alone in that, and I expect that most people here would have similar experiences, either through their working or personal life. Indeed, there are many things in the period which I could look upon to further clarify other people's experiences. To some extent, these go further if we look at incidences that people would never wish the universe to inflict upon them. Personal things which alter the fabric of people's lives and the future they perceived. I could draw from numerous examples in the mission, like the death of a long-term trustee's wife just 2 years before he retired. However, just before that meeting in 2013, a couple of events that appeared with typical synchronicity to see when Spirit is drawing our attention to issues. That day I was working on the energies of a house at the request of 3 grown-up children whose mother lived there. The event that triggered their call was when their father was taken into permanent medical care with severe Parkinson's. 18 months earlier he'd been a healthy man. The sadness in the house was easy to feel, arising from the emotions the lady had at the loss of both her loved one and the life she perceived as ahead of them. Then on the next day I met one of the regular River Park walkers I'd not seen for a while, who I had a sense of concern about. Another who'd recently retired. When I asked him how he was, he told me he had not been around because his wife's Parkinson's disease had worsened, and she died from complications 4 weeks before. He said he was now trying to work through what his life would now be like. In many ways, these two groups represent all the people who sent their requests to the universe to share their retirement with someone, only to lose that chance. However, what does God or the universe have to do with any of this in reality? On top of the 5 houses, I also did a private reading. Everyone brought me into contact with a story. Each one was different, and they all included inexplicable pain as well as joy. I see Kayla's joining in with me. I returned to the idea of life as a box of chocolates. I think she wants to speak to you all. The reality is that whilst I believe the Great Spirit is benevolent, I'm aware they do not take a great personal interest in our one life. That is why we have spirit guides and the loved ones who have passed to be close around us. I also believe that to call upon the universe through the law of attraction is unlikely to bring any truly significant long-term positive abundance. Every law has an opposite, a counterpart, to keep the universe in balance. Looking at the events at that time made me realise I've been reminded of a lesson I should really already have learned and know the answers to. Our journey may be about what we choose to do, but this choice will always be subject to an element of chance in everyday life. Silver Birch, Maurice Barbanel's trance guide, reminded us that this uncertainty was a natural part of learning spiritual lessons in a physical life. If there was no darkness, how would we appreciate light? If there was no sorrow, how would we really experience joy? One of life's key issues is to understand that it unfolds as it will, as we make it through expressing our own free will. Losses and gains are not rewards or punishments from God or the universe. If we claim one is our abundance reward that we've been given from God or universe, are we then saying that the pain from a negative event is a punishment imposed upon us by a vindictive God or through the universe acting against us? No, I don't think so. I may, however, feel that if you keep it to little things, like car parks, then it may seem to work. However, what about the larger things? Be careful what you wish for when you ask the universe. You may pick the right chocolate this time, but you will always be asked to pick again, and the box does not tell you what you may find in the next one.